Hey guys, Mrs. Tupper here. I'm talking about how to get things set up for Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. If you watched the video, you know it's about a party that essentially gets crashed right by a Green Knight challenging someone. All right, everything kind of ensues from there. The main parts kind of follow the hero's journey, so we'll talk about that in just a minute. All right, so setting up the papers. First thing you need is a timeline, right? And this is a very simple bubble timeline, but I want it to look like this. You can make the circles a little bigger at the top and the bottom. So we have the initiating event, right? We call that the inciting incident, right? And all these lines underneath are just little things that happen from there. Don't do every single small detail. Look for the big stuff, right? So on the left-hand side, you're going to put the events. Okay, so let's actually do a little box there. All right, make it a little easier. So this side, these are the, let's call it major plot events. Yes, good. And then on the right-hand side, I want you to put how it corresponds with hero's journey, right? Meaning what part. This corresponds with stage 1 or stage 2, stage 3. You're not going to have every part because what you're reading is an excerpt, right? It's part of a larger work. Sir Gawain is a much bigger, it's actually a book, right? It's not this short story that we have here. Okay, so initiating event, what sets it off? I'll give this one to you, right? We just talked about it, right? The Green Knight crashes the party. You can go a little more into detail than that, right? We know that it's King Arthur's men and that it's on New Year's, right? That's when he shows up. But you don't have to get crazy technical specific. That's not going to help you on your quiz, right? Okay. So you're going to read through major plot events on the left, how it corresponds, or you should say stages it corresponds with in the hero's journey. Look back at your sketch notes, look back at my last video, and then finally at the bottom, final event. How does it end? Okay, so that's the first thing I'm looking for. Second thing, you are going to be analyzing Sir Gawain as a character. This is the characterization wheel. All right. So I'm going to draw this nice and big on your paper, and then you can see each quadrant has a representation. So character's name will go right there. If we were handwriting, right? Sir Gawain's going to go there. You can write it fancy too, right? He is a knight after all. Doesn't have to be this plain kind of font I'm using. All right. So the left quadrant here is what the author tells you about the character, right? These are descriptions or things that are directly said. Sir Gawain was bold. Well, all right then, put it there, right? This is direct characterization. We've talked about it before. Things that are directly stated go here. The upper right quadrant, what the character says and does. How do they act? How do they speak? What sort of things? What kind of tone do they use, right? Or is he a man of his word or not? Think about that. What other people say about the character. So when they're talking about that character, what do they say? They may even say it to their face, right? And then this is a big one, especially for Sir Gawain, because he has a lot of interior monologues, right? What does the character think, right? This is a hero's journey. This is a quest. He's coming up against all sorts of all sorts of obstacles. We want to know what he thinks, right? Not just what he says and does, but what he thinks. That's important too. So track this as you go through. You don't need to label each one of these around the outside. You can if it helps you, right? Otherwise, you're going to have to keep looking back at this. But draw it nice and big. It should take up about 2/3 of your paper. Underneath, this should be 3 to 5 sentences, complete sentences. In your own words, describe the character's personality. So what is Sir Gawain like? And how does he develop over the course of the story? And what is the impact of that on the reader or audience? The hardest part for you is going to be the impact, right? Do we trust them more? Do we believe in them more? Do we believe in good triumphs over evil? What does it do for us? Or does it do anything? Do we still like the person? Do we now hate the person? Think about it. That's your personal reaction. That's what really matters. So that's 2, character wheel. Last but not least, summarizing a text. You do not need to write all this stuff out. What you really need are these 4 boxes. All right? So you could even just fold your page in half, hot dog style, I guess, right? I'm going to back up. The right-hand side is just for summary. Don't do that yet. You can kind of see some notes here about that, right? Don't do that yet. Start on the left, top box, main characters and traits. Well, we know one is Sir Gawain and his traits, but there are several others, right? The Green Knight being one of them, and there's a certain lady you might want to include. Then, central conflict and events. You don't necessarily have to tell me if it's person versus person, person versus society, person versus nature. If you can, that's great. I'm more interested in a brief description of that conflict. This is where your timeline is going to come in handy. We're going to condense that down to fit in this little box. And then finally, climax and resolution, right? Remember the climax. We learned this climax is the final showdown. Will he survive or not? Will he defeat the Green Knight or not? Right? Every great movie, the final showdown, it's high noon, right? We're in the square, we're ready. Resolution is kind of what happens after that. Is there a happily ever after? Are we left with a cliffhanger? How do things tie up? Okay? So really, a lot of that's just coming from the other sheets you've already done. You're just organizing it a little bit more. Okay? Right-hand side is the summary, and that is an objective summary. Remember, objective means we don't include our own opinions, our interpretations. This is not I think, this is not I feel, this is not I believe. This is a play-by-play, as if you were a reporter, right? And then this happened, and this happened, and this happened. Just the facts, all right? Keep it straightforward here. You'll have opportunities to do some more creative interpretations with this story, but don't do it here. Now, in each of these boxes, as you go, please label them. Main characters and traits, central conflict events, climax and resolution, summary. Makes my life easier on this one, okay? So those are the 3 main things you need there, your bubble timeline, your analyzing characterization, your character wheel, and summarizing a text. That's the third. You do have a worksheet that you will do alongside it about elements of romance. Goes with the Cornell notes that we did, so no problem there. You're only doing the lines for Sir Gawain because you'll do the lines of the worksheet for Arthur next week. All right? I hope you enjoy the text.